Welcome to my channel. Today, we're exploring Stellar Defiance, a sci-fi journey where humanity stands strong and defies the odds across the galaxy. Dive into epic starship battles, powerful tech, and the resilience that makes us unstoppable in a universe full of challenges. If you're ready for a thrill-packed adventure in deep space, hit subscribe, and let's get started. Humanity has always been a species defined by its capacity for emotional depth. Over the centuries, the complexities of human emotions, ranging from love, joy, and compassion to fear, anger, and despair, have served as both a challenge and a strength. Throughout history, humanity's journey has been one of learning to manage these emotions individually and collectively. From ancient philosophers attempting to understand the nature of the soul to modern therapists and mental health professionals developing strategies for emotional wellness, humans have consistently sought ways to understand and alleviate mental suffering. But it wasn't until humanity's expansion into the cosmos where they encountered alien species with vastly different biological and cultural backgrounds that humans would come to pioneer a form of therapy that would transcend species and cultures, ultimately becoming the first interspecies therapy that brought a new sense of peace to the galaxy. This wasn't just about healing individuals, but about fostering understanding, empathy, and balance on a galactic scale. The concept of therapy itself is rooted deeply in human history. For millennia, societies across Earth have developed various methods for healing the mind and soul, whether through meditation, talk therapy, art therapy, or medication. But all of these techniques were deeply tied to human experiences, emotions, and the unique social structures of Earth. When humans first encountered alien civilizations, the concept of therapy was largely foreign to many of them. The alien species they encountered were biologically and psychologically distinct, with different ways of processing emotions, experiencing stress, and handling psychological challenges. Some species had no emotional range at all, while others had intense emotional states but lacked the self-awareness to recognize their own psychological needs. Some civilizations had no understanding of mental illness or trauma, while others dealt with psychological stress in ways that were almost incomprehensible to humans. Despite these differences, humans quickly realized that mental health was not something exclusive to their species. During the early years of space exploration, they found that the same emotions, fear, grief, anger, joy, and love, were universal to all sentient beings, even if the ways in which these emotions were experienced and expressed varied greatly. Whether it was the overwhelming existential loneliness of long space voyages, the psychological trauma of war, or the frustration of living in a society that valued efficiency over emotional well-being, every alien species had its own unique set of psychological challenges. It was in this context that humanity's ability to understand and process emotions, their focus on mental well-being, and their centuries of experience in developing therapeutic techniques would become a crucial resource for the galaxy. As humanity expanded its reach across the stars, they began to share their insights into emotional healing with alien civilizations, sparking the beginnings of what would come to be known as interspecies therapy. Initially, this was a slow and often difficult process. Many alien species, particularly those who had evolved in environments with little to no emotional expression, had trouble understanding the concept of mental health. Some considered it a frivolous pursuit, something that wasn't necessary for survival. For these civilizations, the pursuit of intellectual knowledge and technological advancements was the primary focus, and emotional issues were seen as distractions, hindrances to progress. Others, particularly species that had experienced long periods of war or trauma, were reluctant to embrace any sort of therapeutic process, viewing it as a form of weakness or a futile attempt to heal wounds that ran too deep. But humans, ever persistent in their desire to help, began by offering simple methods of emotional expression, shared rituals, empathetic listening, and the power of storytelling. Humans, with their deeply ingrained ability to empathize with others, quickly recognized that empathy was the key to connecting with alien species on a psychological level. They developed interspecies communication techniques that involved listening not just to words, but to the emotions behind those words. Using a combination of technology, body language, and telepathic devices, Humans were able to create channels of communication that allowed alien species to express their innermost thoughts and feelings in ways that were previously impossible. Through these shared experiences of communication, humans began to introduce the idea of emotional therapy, of acknowledging, expressing, and working through one's emotions in order to heal. At first, these methods were met with resistance. Many alien species struggled to express their emotions, often lacking the vocabulary or framework to even begin articulating their feelings. For some, the concept of discussing one's inner turmoil seemed unnecessary or even dangerous. However, as humans began to share their own stories of healing, the healing power of empathy began to take root. Through the universal language of suffering and survival, alien civilizations began to understand that the mind, just as much as the body, needed care and attention. Over time, the first human-designed therapy programs began to emerge, tailored not only to human needs, but also adapted for each alien species' unique psychological traits. For example, some species, who experienced emotions only fleetingly, required therapy methods that focused on short-term relief, such as rapid emotional processing techniques or crisis intervention. Others, whose emotional states were intense and overwhelming, benefited from slower, more gradual methods that encouraged emotional regulation and mindfulness. One of the most groundbreaking aspects of humanity's interspecies therapy was its ability to blend technology with ancient human techniques. Virtual reality technology, for instance, was used to create immersive therapeutic environments, allowing individuals to confront their fears, traumas, and anxieties in a controlled, safe space. Similarly, biofeedback devices were developed to help alien species understand and control their physiological responses to stress and anxiety, allowing them to regulate their own emotional states in real time. These technologies, combined with human insight into emotional health, provided a holistic approach to mental well-being that could be adapted to a wide range of alien species. The success of these early programs paved the way for more comprehensive and widespread efforts. In many ways, the concept of interspecies therapy became a unifying force among galactic civilizations, creating bonds of empathy and understanding where there had once been suspicion or hostility. It was through the shared experience of emotional healing that alien species began to see one another not as rivals or strangers, but as beings with similar struggles and desires. As therapy programs flourished across the galaxy, they helped to reduce tensions between species, fostering an environment of trust and collaboration. Perhaps the most remarkable example of the power of interspecies therapy occurred when a coalition of galactic species was faced with a devastating war. For centuries, these species had been at odds, locked in conflicts over resources, territory, and ideology. The war had torn apart entire star systems, leaving millions of lives in ruin. However, as the war reached its peak, representatives from several alien civilizations turned to humanity for help. They recognized that the root cause of their conflict was not just political or economic, but deeply psychological. Years of war had left their populations traumatized, and the hatred and fear that had built up between species had created a toxic environment that no amount of diplomacy could solve. In this moment of crisis, humanity's pioneering interspecies therapy techniques were called upon to help heal the wounds of war. Human therapists, trained in the art of conflict resolution and emotional healing, worked tirelessly with alien diplomats, soldiers, and civilians to address the deep psychological scars left by the war. They facilitated dialogues between species, allowing each side to express their pain, fear, and anger in a safe space. They used therapeutic techniques to help individuals process the trauma of war, providing tools for emotional regulation, stress management, and resilience. Through these efforts, the foundations of peace began to take root. Over time, the interspecies therapy programs became a crucial part of the post-war reconciliation process, helping to heal the fractured relationships between species and rebuild the trust that had been lost. The success of the interspecies therapy programs was a turning point in galactic history. No longer were alien species bound by the limitations of their own psychological and emotional frameworks. Through humanity's pioneering efforts, they had unlocked a new way of relating to one another, one based not on competition or conquest, but on mutual understanding and healing. The galaxy, once divided by fear and misunderstanding, had been transformed by the power of empathy, communication, and emotional growth. As the years passed, the concept of interspecies therapy spread far and wide, becoming a cornerstone of galactic peacekeeping efforts. It was no longer just about individual well-being, but about the collective well-being of all sentient beings across the stars. Humanity's pioneering work in this field had created a new standard of mental health, a standard that transcended species, cultures, and planets. The galactic community, once fractured by differences and conflict, was now united by a shared commitment to emotional healing and understanding. And as humanity continued to work with their alien allies, they were reminded of the profound truth that no matter how vast the universe, the path to peace and harmony always begins within the heart and mind. The human contribution to galactic peace, through their development of interspecies therapy, became a legacy that would echo through the ages. It was not just a triumph of science and technology, but a triumph of compassion, empathy, and the human spirit, a spirit that, no matter where it traveled, always sought to heal and connect, to bring light to the darkest corners of the universe. Through their efforts, humanity had not only pioneered a new form of therapy, but had also laid the groundwork for a galactic community where peace of mind, understanding, and empathy reigned supreme. And in the vast expanse of space, where civilizations of all shapes and sizes now coexisted, humanity's legacy lived on as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of emotional connection and the enduring strength of the human heart.